My father's text arrived at 6:12 a.m., right as I was pouring my first cup of coffee in my small apartment in Denver. I disown you. Talk to my lawyer. No greeting. No explanation. No hesitation. Just a sentence cold enough to make my hands shake. For a second, I honestly thought it was a mistake. Maybe he'd meant to text someone else. But then another message came through, and my stomach dropped. You've become a burden, Stella. I'm done. I stared at those words on my screen for what felt like an eternity. My coffee sat steaming on the counter, forgotten. The morning sun was streaming through my kitchen window, birds were chirping outside, and my entire world had just shifted on its axis. I wanted to call him. I wanted to demand an explanation. I wanted to scream, cry, beg him to tell me what I'd done wrong. Instead, I took a deep breath and typed back the only word that felt right in that moment. Okay. Not angry. Not confused. Not desperate. Just done. Because here's the truth nobody in my family wanted to acknowledge. I'd been supporting my parents financially for almost 3 years. Their mortgage in Aurora? Covered by me. Their utilities? Auto-drafted from my account every month. My mother's car insurance? Also me. The weekly grocery allowance? Me again. Every single month, without fail, I sent them money. And yet somehow, I was the burden. I sat there at my kitchen table, staring at that text, and something inside me just clicked. It wasn't rage. It wasn't hurt. It was clarity. If my father could disown me with a single text message, then I could disown my financial obligations just as easily. By 6:40 a.m., I had logged into every account connected to them. By 6:55 a.m., I had cancelled every payment, transfer, and auto-pay. Mortgage? Cancelled. Electricity? Cancelled. Water bill? Cancelled. Car insurance? Reassigned back to them. The monthly allowance I'd been sending? Gone. I sat back and looked at the list of cancelled payments on my screen. 3 years of financial support, wiped out in 15 minutes. Not out of spite. Not out of revenge. But because my father had said the words clearly, I disown you. And disowning works both ways. I expected some kind of reaction that day. A call. A follow-up text. Maybe even him showing up at my door. Anything. But instead, complete silence. My father didn't call. My mother didn't call. Nobody called. I went to work that day at the marketing firm where I'd been employed for 5 years, the job that had made all those payments possible. I sat through meetings, responded to emails, had lunch with my coworker Brianna, who asked if I was okay because I looked pale. Family stuff, I told her, forcing a smile. She didn't push, thankfully. That entire day, I kept checking my phone, expecting something. An apology. An explanation. Even another angry text. Nothing. The silence was deafening. That night, I made myself a grilled cheese sandwich, comfort food, and sat on my couch, staring at my phone. Part of me wondered if I'd made a mistake. Part of me felt guilty. But a bigger part of me felt something I hadn't felt in years. Free. I went to bed that night expecting the silence to continue. I was wrong. Exactly 48 hours after my father's text, my phone rang at 9:47 p.m. It was my mother. And when I answered, her voice was shaking so badly I could barely understand her. Stella, please. It's urgent. We need to talk. Right now. That was when everything started unraveling. My mother didn't call to apologize. She didn't call to explain my father's behavior. She didn't even call to talk about the disownment. She called because the power had been shut off. Stella, I don't understand what's happening, she said, her voice trembling. The electricity just went out. And when I called the company, they said the payment didn't go through. And then I checked the water bill, and there's a shut-off notice, and... Mom, slow down, I interrupted, my heart pounding. What are you talking about? The bills, Stella. None of them have been paid. There's a notice on the door saying the mortgage payment bounced. We are going to lose the house. I closed my eyes, taking a slow breath. Here it comes, I thought. Mom, I said carefully, the bills haven't been paid because I stopped paying them. Silence. Complete, utter silence. What do you mean you stopped paying them? She finally whispered. Stella, you don't pay our bills. Your father handles all of that. And there it was. The truth I'd suspected but hadn't wanted to believe. Mom, I've been paying your bills for 3 years, I said quietly. The mortgage. The utilities. Your car insurance. Everything. Did you really not know? I heard her sink into a chair. The phone rustled, and when she spoke again, her voice was hollow. That's impossible. Your father told me he refinanced the house 2 years ago. He said a new business loan was covering things. He said we were financially stable. My jaw clenched. He lied. For 3 straight years, he had lied to her. He had used my money to pay their bills, and he had taken credit for all of it. He had built an entire identity around being the stable provider, the responsible husband, the man who took care of his family. And it was all fake. Mom, I need you to check something, I said, my voice steady despite the anger building in my chest. Go to Dad's office. Look for bank statements, credit card bills, anything financial. Can you do that? He's not home right now, she said quietly. He left an hour ago. Said he needed air. Good. Then look now. I heard her moving through the house, her footsteps echoing. The sound of a door opening. Papers rustling. Then she gasped. Oh my God. What is it? Stella, there are bills here. So many bills. Credit cards I didn't know about. Notices from the bank. And there's... Her voice broke. There's a letter from someone named Troy Beckman demanding $14,000. My stomach turned. Who's Troy Beckman? I have no idea. She kept reading, her voice getting higher and more panicked with each discovery. There's a tax notice here for $7,000. And credit card statements showing. Stella, he owes $52,000. I felt the room spin. $52,000 in credit card debt. $14,000 owed to someone named Troy. $7,000 in unpaid taxes. My father wasn't just irresponsible. He was drowning. And instead of asking for help, instead of taking responsibility, he had seen me as a lifeline he was entitled to. Mom, I need to tell you something, I said quietly. 2 days ago, Dad texted me asking for $20,000. He said it was for a business venture. I told him I couldn't afford that kind of loan right now. She didn't respond. That's when he sent the disownment text. He didn't disown me because I was a burden, Mom. He disowned me because I stopped being useful. I heard her crying softly on the other end of the line. I need to go, she whispered. I need to talk to him when he gets back. Mom. I'll call you tomorrow, Stella. I promise. She hung up before I could say anything else. My mother called me at 7:23 the next morning. I could hear it in her voice immediately. Something had broken. What happened? I asked. I confronted him last night when he came home, she said, her words tumbling out fast. I showed him everything I found. The credit card statements. The bills. The letter from Troy. I asked him why he'd been lying to me for years. What did he say? She laughed bitterly. At first, nothing. He just stared at me like I'd caught him stealing cookies from a jar. Then he tried to deflect. Said I was overreacting. Said it was under control. Said I didn't understand how finances worked. I could picture it perfectly. My father, backed into a corner, trying to talk his way out. But I didn't let him off the hook, my mother continued, her voice stronger now. I kept pushing. I told him I knew Stella had been paying our bills. I told him I knew about the $20,000. And that's when he finally snapped. What did he say? He screamed at me. Stella. He said, she wouldn't give me the 20 grand. That's why I cut her off. She's useless to me now. My breath caught. Useless to him. Those words hung in the air like poison. He actually said that. I whispered. Word for word. My mother's voice cracked. Stella, I've been married to this man for 32 years. I thought I knew him. But last night, I realized I've been living with a stranger. A stranger who was capable of discarding his own daughter the second she stopped being financially beneficial. I didn't know what to say. There's more, she continued. After he said that, I asked him about Troy Beckman. Do you know what he told me? What? Troy is a guy he met at a sports bar in Lakewood 6 months ago. Your father gave him $14,000 for some cryptocurrency investment scheme. Troy disappeared 3 weeks later with everyone's money. I closed my eyes. Of course. And the business venture he wanted your $20,000 for, my mother continued. It was another investment opportunity from someone he met at the same bar. He wanted to double down on his losses. My father had gambled away $14,000 and wanted me to give him $20,000 more to chase his losses. And when I said no, he disowned me. Mom, I'm so sorry, I said quietly. Don't apologize, she said firmly. You have nothing to apologize for. I'm the one who should be sorry. I should have paid more attention. I should have asked more questions. I should have. Her voice broke, and she started crying. I let her cry, not knowing what else to do. When she finally spoke again, her voice was barely a whisper. I don't know what to do, Stella. I don't know how to fix this. You don't have to fix it, I told her. This isn't your mess to clean up. It's his. We talked for another hour. I told her I'd help her figure things out, but I wasn't paying Dad's bills anymore. She understood. When we finally hung up, I felt emotionally exhausted. But that evening, I received a text that made everything even worse. It was from my Uncle Jerome, my father's younger brother. Call me when you can. I have something you need to see. I called Uncle Jerome immediately. Hey, kiddo, he answered, but his usual cheerful tone was missing. Thanks for calling back so quick. What's going on? He hesitated. Listen, I wasn't sure if I should show you this. But after talking with your Aunt Lorraine, we both agreed you deserve to know. Know what? I'm sending you a video right now. Watch it, then call me back. My phone buzzed. A video file appeared in our text thread. I clicked it with trembling fingers. The video was clearly recorded at someone's backyard barbecue. I could see a brick patio, a grill smoking in the background, people milling around with beers and paper plates loaded with burgers and potato salad. And there, center frame, was my father. He was talking to a group of his cousins, Randall, Kevin, and Anthony. They were all laughing about something. Then I heard my father's voice, loud and clear. Stella? Man, she's my retirement plan right there. Girl doesn't know how to say no to her old man. The cousins laughed. My stomach dropped. I'm serious, my father continued, taking a swig of beer. Every month, like clockwork, money shows up. Mortgage? Covered. Bills? Covered. I could probably ask her for a boat and she'd figure out how to make it happen. More laughter. You're terrible, man, Kevin said, shaking his head but grinning. I'm smart, my father corrected. I raised her right. She knows family takes care of family. Randall raised his beer. To generous daughters. They all clinked bottles. But then my father leaned in, and his voice dropped to a more conspiratorial tone. Here's the thing though, he said. I'm gonna test it next month. Gonna tell her I'm cutting her off as punishment for something, just to see what happens. I bet you $20 she'll be calling me within a week, begging to send money again. My heart stopped. That's cold, man, Anthony said, but he was still smiling. That's strategy, my father replied. She needs to remember who's in charge. Can't let her think she has any power in this relationship. The video ended. I sat there on my couch, staring at my phone, feeling like I'd been punched in the gut. He had planned this. The disownment text wasn't a heat-of-the-moment decision. It wasn't even about the $20,000. It was a manipulation tactic. He thought I'd come crawling back, desperate for his approval, ready to pay anything to get back in his good graces. Except he hadn't counted on one thing, me actually walking away. I called Uncle Jerome back with shaking hands. You saw it? He asked gently. Yeah. Stella, I'm sorry. That was recorded last Saturday at Kevin's house. Lorraine and I left right after that because we were so disgusted. But I thought you should know what kind of man your father really is. Thank you for showing me, I whispered. Are you okay? I don't know. We talked for a few more minutes, but I barely remember what was said. When we hung up, I just sat there in the darkness of my living room, processing. My father hadn't disowned me because he was angry. He disowned me as a power play. And it had backfired spectacularly. The next morning, I woke up to an email in my inbox from an address I didn't recognize. The subject line read, "Regarding Russell Montgomery, professional notice." Russell Montgomery was my father's full name. My hands were shaking as I opened it. Dear Ms. Montgomery, my name is Leonard Shaw, attorney at Shaw & Associates in Denver. Your father, Russell Montgomery, contacted my office 4 days ago requesting legal representation. Specifically, he wanted to hire me to send intimidating correspondence to you regarding financial obligations he claimed you owed to him. After reviewing his case and conducting a brief consultation, I declined to represent him. I am writing to you now in a professional capacity to inform you of several things. First, you have no legal obligation to provide financial support to your parents. Your father's claims that you owe him money have no legal standing. Second, during our consultation, your father revealed he is in significant personal debt, approximately $73,000 based on the documentation he showed me. He explicitly stated his intention was to use your funds to resolve this debt. Third, his approach raised several ethical red flags that made me uncomfortable proceeding with representation. I am sharing this information because I believe you have a right to know the full context of his legal threats. Your father may attempt to hire another attorney, but any legitimate lawyer will tell him the same thing I did. He has no case. Please feel free to contact my office if you have any questions. Sincerely, Leonard Shaw, Esquire. I read the email 3 times, my mind racing. My father had actually tried to hire a lawyer to intimidate me. And the lawyer had not only refused, he'd sent me a warning instead. A complete stranger was showing more integrity and honesty than my own father. I forwarded the email to my mother immediately with a simple message, "You need to see this." She called me 5 minutes later. "Stella, I don't even know what to say anymore," she whispered. "Every day I find out something new. Something worse. How did I not see any of this?" "He hid it well, Mom." "No," she said firmly. "I didn't want to see it. There were signs. I ignored them because it was easier." We talked for almost an hour. She told me she'd been going through more of his papers and found even more debt. Credit cards she didn't know existed, personal loans from people at his gym, unpaid tabs at 3 different restaurants in town. My father wasn't just financially irresponsible. He was a walking disaster. "I'm leaving him," my mother said suddenly. I froze. "What?" "I'm leaving him, Stella. I can't do this anymore. I can't live with someone who lies to me every single day. Someone who would discard his own daughter for money. I'm done." "Mom, are you sure?" I've never been more sure of anything in my life. 48 hours after the power shut off, my mother made the decision that would shock our entire family. She packed 2 suitcases. She took her car, the one I'd been paying insurance on for 3 years. And she drove straight to my apartment in Denver. When I opened the door at 11:30 p.m. and saw her standing there with those suitcases, mascara streaked down her face, I didn't ask questions. I just pulled her inside and held her while she collapsed in my arms. "I didn't know, Stella," she sobbed. "I swear I didn't know what he was doing. I didn't know about the debts, the lies, any of it. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry." "It's okay, Mom. It's okay." We stayed like that for a long time, just holding each other in my tiny entryway. That night, she slept in my guest room, which was really just my office with a futon. I gave her clean sheets, a spare toothbrush, and told her she could stay as long as she needed. She stayed the next night. And the next. And the next. For 3 days, my apartment was quiet. My mother mostly stayed in the guest room, processing everything. I worked from home so I could be there if she needed me. We didn't talk much about my father. We didn't talk about what came next. We just existed together in this strange new reality. But on the 4th day, everything exploded. I was making coffee in the kitchen around 2 p.m. when there was a pounding on my apartment door. Not knocking. Pounding. My mother's eyes went wide. "That's him," she whispered. I looked through the peephole. My father stood there, and he looked terrible. His hair was greasy and uncombed. His eyes were red and wild. He was wearing the same clothes I'd seen him in the last time we had dinner together 3 weeks ago. He pounded again. "Stella, open this door. I know you're in there." My mother grabbed my arm. "Don't open it." "I have to," I said quietly. "If I don't, he'll just keep coming back." I took a deep breath and opened the door, leaving the chain lock on. "What do you want?" I asked. My father's eyes were frantic. "I need to talk to your mother. Right now." "She doesn't want to talk to you." "She's my wife. She can't just leave. This is insane. She's an adult who can make her own decisions." He tried to look past me into the apartment. Diana, get out here. We need to talk about this." My mother appeared behind me, her voice steady. "I have nothing to say to you, Russell." "You're overreacting," he shouted. "So I made some mistakes. So what? We can fix this. But you need to come home right now and Stella needs to." "Needs to what?" I interrupted. "Needs to keep paying your bills? Keep funding your lies." His face twisted. "You're my daughter. You're supposed to help family." "I did help," I said coldly. "For 3 years. And you thanked me by disowning me when I couldn't give you more." "That was a mistake." I was angry. "But you can't just cut me off. Your mother can't survive without me. And I can't survive without you. You owe me, Stella." Something in me snapped. I looked my father dead in the eye and said the words I'd been holding back my entire life. "I don't owe you anything." He stepped forward like he was going to try to force his way inside. I closed the door in his face and locked it. He pounded on it 3 more times, shouting. Then I heard him break down crying in the hallway. "Please," he sobbed. "Please, I need help. I can't do this alone." My mother's face was pale, but her voice was firm when she said, "Call the police if he doesn't leave." But we didn't need to. After a few more minutes, the pounding stopped. Through the peephole, I watched my father slide down to the floor, sitting against the wall across from my door with his head in his hands. Then, slowly, he stood up and walked away. For the first time in my life, he had no control. That night, my mother and I sat together on my couch with mugs of chamomile tea. Neither of us had spoken much since my father left. Finally, she broke the silence. "I need to tell you something, Stella. Something I've never admitted out loud before." I looked at her. "I stayed with your father for 32 years because I thought he was dependable," she said quietly. "Responsible. A man who could take care of me. Growing up, my own father told me that was the most important thing. Find a man who can provide." She took a shaky breath. "But these past 4 days have shown me something I should have realized years ago. Your father isn't dependable. He never was. He's reckless and selfish and manipulative. And somehow, I convinced myself that was normal." "Mom." "Let me finish," she said gently. "The person who's actually been dependable? Who's actually been responsible? Who's actually been taking care of this family?" She looked at me with tears in her eyes. "It's been you, Stella. 4 years. You were the stable one. You were the one I could count on. Not him. You." I felt my own tears starting to fall. "And the worst part," she continued, "I let him take credit for your sacrifices. I let him pretend he was the provider, while you were the one struggling to make ends meet so we could stay comfortable. I'm so ashamed." "You didn't know," I whispered. "I should have known. I should have asked more questions. I should have been paying attention." She took my hand. "Stella, you saved us both by letting go. Do you understand that? If you had kept paying those bills, I would have never found out the truth. I would have kept living that lie until it completely destroyed me." We sat there together, crying and holding each other. "What are you going to do now?" I finally asked. "I'm filing for divorce," she said simply. "I've already contacted a lawyer. Your Uncle Jerome recommended someone. I'm meeting with her on Monday. Do you need money for the lawyer? She shook her head firmly. No. I have my own savings account your father didn't know about. My grandmother left me some money years ago. It's not much, but it'll be enough. And I'm going to get a job. I used to be a bookkeeper before I married your father. I can do that again. I felt a surge of pride for my mother. I'm also going to find my own place, she continued. Somewhere small. Somewhere I can afford on my own. I don't want to burden you. You're not a burden, Mom. You can stay here as long as you need. I know. But I need to do this for myself. I need to prove that I can stand on my own 2 feet. We talked late into the night, making plans, discussing options, sometimes crying, sometimes laughing. And somewhere around midnight, as we were finishing our 3rd pot of tea, my mother said something that I'll never forget. You know what the scariest part of all this is? She asked. What? Realizing that I spent 3 decades of my life with someone I didn't really know. Someone who saw his own daughter as an ATM machine. Someone who was willing to burn every bridge the second he didn't get what he wanted. She looked at me. But the beautiful part? The miraculous part? Is that despite having him as a father, you turned out to be everything he pretended to be. You're genuinely kind, genuinely responsible, genuinely caring. And you didn't learn that from him. I learned it from you, I said softly. She smiled through her tears. Then maybe I did something right after all. My mother filed for divorce 2 weeks later. My father contested it at first, tried to make things difficult, but his own financial disasters made the process fairly straightforward. His debts were his alone. My mother's name wasn't on any of the credit cards or loans. She moved into a small apartment in Littleton 3 months later. She got a job at a local accounting firm. And slowly, carefully, she started building a life that was entirely her own. As for my father, I heard through Uncle Jerome that he eventually declared bankruptcy and had to move into a studio apartment on the other side of town. He tried to contact me a few times, emails, texts, even a handwritten letter. Each message was some variation of I'm sorry mixed with you're still my daughter, and family should forgive. I never responded. Some bridges, once burned, aren't meant to be rebuilt. Today, almost a year later, I'm sitting in my apartment, the same apartment where this all began with a single text message at 6:12 a.m. My mother is coming over for dinner tonight. We do this every week now. She's teaching me her grandmother's lasagna recipe. She's happier than I've ever seen her. More confident. More herself. And me? I'm still processing everything. Still working through the complicated feelings of loving someone who hurt you, of setting boundaries with someone who raised you, of realizing that sometimes the healthiest thing you can do is walk away. But I'm okay. More than okay, actually. Because that text message, that cold, cruel I disown you, ended up being the best thing that could have happened to both of us. It forced the truth into the light. And sometimes, the truth is the only thing that can set you free.